prior to Tuesday, I guess, the Municipal Harbor Plan dated September 7th was the plan on which comment letters were being invited. I had had an exchange with one of the BPDA persons who said that they were waiting for feedback from the state and that they might change the harbor plan. Apparently that didn't happen because the closing date for comments was December 2. Comments were filed, they're online, but they now say that they will take comments into consideration and may change the municipal harbor plan based on the comments they receive. So that's pretty much the status. They are going to present a municipal harbor plan, perhaps changed after reviewing comments, to the BPDA board at its January meeting, but I wasn't told when the January meeting was. That is the status, and let's proceed with discussion. Dave.
A little bit more background. So this is a plan to redo or to allow the redoing of the waterfront, both in terms of development and in terms of public open space, public uses, from the Marriott Long Wharf to the Congress Street Bridge. I believe it's called the Congress Street Bridge, or the
Evelyn
Moakley Bridge. So it's that length of the waterfront from the greenway to the water, basically. The reason they're doing this plan, the original reason, is because several years ago, Mr. Chiafaro proposed two 600 to 700 foot towers at the Harbor Garage. And the Secretary of Environmental Affairs at that time said that, I forget whether it was he or she at the time, that he or she would not take into consideration such a project except as part of a renewal of the Municipal Harbor Plan. So I believe at least the first reason for the BRA doing this renewal along the waterfront is to allow for a much higher building at the Harbor Garage. And in fact, that's exactly what's in the plan. It's one tower now, is that right? At what height? 600? Roughly? So this would involve taking down the Harbor Garage, and I don't know anyone who likes the Harbor Garage, or especially the prices to park in that garage, but it would replace it with a 585 foot high building, which is about 185 feet higher than the building that was just built next to North Station. That tall tower, I think, is at 400 feet. Just to give you some perspective.
The Harbor Towers are?
Harbor Towers are...
400.
Yeah, but...
No,
400.
If it's
four more or less.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's taller than Harbor Towers.
by almost 200 feet. And so anyway, so there's some background as to why the BRA is doing this renewal. It's been working on this. Typical process should take at the most a couple of years. The BRA's been doing this for about 4 years now. They finally put out a draft plan in September. The plan did undergo public review over the past few months. I personally refuse to comment to the BRA because the BRA has always ignored public comment, so why go through that exercise, especially where once they call it a final plan, they have to file it with the state, and the state has to approve. The Secretary of Environmental Affairs has to approve that plan. That's the point when I personally will comment on the plan. And what this plan generally does is allow for greater building densities, greater building heights, and less open space. One would think along that section of our waterfront, especially that section, it's so narrow from the greenway to the water, And it's so important for public access and public uses, especially water-type uses, that they would be going in the opposite direction, less density and more open space. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks. I might add as background that the description on the agenda indicates one of the problems with the municipal harbor plan, focusing on that particular site, the harbor garage site, that there are two issues, one height and one open space. Current waterways regulations require 50% open space per lot. The municipal harbor plan as proposed by the BPDA would reduce that to 30% for this site. Why? I'll get to that in a minute. There is also a height issue having to do with that site. The current waterways regulations, as the summary here indicates, allow a building height of up to 150 feet at the harbor garage site. It's a step back. It's lower as you get closer to the water and up to 150 feet, but not beyond 150 feet as you go back on this lot. And the municipal harbor plan as proposed would permit 585 feet, a four-fold violation of the regulations. I searched through the municipal harbor plan and found on page 36 one sentence which said, to provide higher density, we will allow a 585-foot higher tower on the harbor garage site. Why is density, I ask, a reason for waiving the waterways regulation requirement by 4 times? I point out that there's a difference between density and activation. There's no doubt that activation of the water's edge is something to be desired, because the water and the water's edge belong to the public, and the public should be given views and access so that the area can be activated. But density is something else. Activation is bodies moving back and forth. Density, as I understand it, is bodies not moving. And it seems to me that the BPDA is confusing or applying the wrong justification, the wrong basis, the wrong support for a 4-fold violation of the waterways regulations. That's my opinion, and that's what I wrote in my personal comment
Where will the
letter.
shadows from that building be cast? On what areas? I assume they presented a shadow study?
Yes, there is a shadow study in it, and I haven't.
On the greenway is where the shadow.
Yes.
In the morning, that's right. It'll
Well,
be cast on
yes,
green.
that's right, because it was.
In the afternoon, it'll be cast on
watershed.
water. It'll be cast on the water. It'll be cast on Christopher Columbus Park as the day wears on.
I don't know that it would be cast on Christopher Columbus Park, because it wouldn't be cast on Long Wharf. And the reason is that the BPDA has said shadows on Long Wharf won't be tolerated, and presumably the plan would not allow that.
But have you seen the shadow
I'll have to see the
study?
shadow studies, which are in the.
It certainly hits the New England Inquirer face.
Yes.
Yes,
Aquarium-
in the
aquarium has
afternoon,
got
sure.
practically the whole day in the shadow of that building.
Seems to
Well,
me the
actually, I
only
have it here.
areas that wouldn't be in shadow would be the areas south of the building. Now, maybe I'm getting east and west and north and south mixed up,
South
but
of the
it
building,
seems
I guess,
like the
would
building
be,
south,
they would not be.
the area south would be unaffected by shadow. But Christopher Columbus Park is either north or northeast of that. So there
That's
has
where
to be
that's where
shadow.
the sun goes through the zenith,
Yeah,
so the shadow is less.
okay.
So it
Well,
doesn't-
in
it
the
doesn't-
summer, that's correct.
Well, even in the winter, in the middle of the day, if you
Yeah.
take a middle of the day point, then I don't think we would get,
Beyond Marriott Longwood?
yeah.
Well, I'd have to look at the studies.
The property west of the Greenway is 200-foot limit, isn't it? Did they pass that rule?
You mean east towards the water?
West of the Greenway.
West, on the other side.
Oh, because of the greenway.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Was
Yeah,
it
that's
that 200
interesting.
feet?
I don't know.
Isn't there a limit on the property because of the airport?
Well, supposedly, the new height of this building conforms to the FAA requirement. The original heights that were proposed several years ago did not conform, and that's why they had to bring it down
Yeah,
from
you want the
700 plus
700
to 580.
Well, my recollection is that it was 600 feet.
The FAA limit?
The original building was 720.
Right.
Well, these may be existing shadows from other buildings. There is the shadow study here, which I have to admit I have not become conversant with.
What do they want to do at the end of Long Wharf, where there's currently a public park?
Well, there is an ambiguous, in my mind, statement in the Municipal Harbor Plan, which is to support construction at the end of at the seaward end of Long Wharf. But then if you read it, the details of the explanation seem to imply or apply to construction on the existing buildings. That is not into the park area, but extending presumably the height of the existing buildings, which seems to me to be a strange recommendation because they are historic. The Custom House block must have been built in 1840. Why would you want to add height to that?
The map still shows a restaurant at the
end, I don't think it does. What printed out for me by Dave didn't show a restaurant at the end of Long Wharf because, as we know, the VRA lost its lawsuit.
But what about in front of the America? The front of that where
Well,
it touches the turtle?
okay.
It looks like there's a building that surrounds it.
That's another issue that I raised in my personal comment letter, which is that the Municipal Harbor Plan proposes a build-out around the three sides of the Marriott, that is not the Atlantic Avenue side, but north, south, and seaward. The National Park Service that won the lawsuit brought by then VRA takes the position that that is all parkland because the National Park Service gave the VRA $750,000, $800,000 in fact, in the 1980s, in return for which the VRA agreed to restrictions on the use of that property. From an outsider like me, it looks as though they've ignored those restrictions over the years, and the Municipal Harbor Plan proposal would, as I see it, continue to ignore and to make worse the violations when a build-out around the Marriott Hotel is proposed, because the National Park Service takes the position based upon a map, the 1980s map that has been established to be the correct map by these lawsuits. National Park Service takes the position that it's all parkland. The entire Long Wharf, except for the buildings, is parkland, and you can't build on parkland. So that's why we wanted to start the conversation, continue the conversation. Yes?
MJ Schultz, I live on Commercial Street. I'd like to understand your process. You said that the planners are going to present the plan, the current version of the plan, to the board of the BPDA. So because the board hired the planners, are they necessarily just going to vote to approve the plan? And then you said it had to go to the state, where if it gets summarily approved, where does it go for further state consideration?
Dave can answer that for us.
Well, the first question is, the VRA board has a long history of unanimously approving anything that the staff bring to the board. Now, what they bring to the board ultimately, and maybe in January, is still a question. Will they bring the same plan and ignore all the comments, or will they adjust the plan to address those comments? Once the BRA board approves, then that plan will be filed formally with the Secretary of Environmental Affairs through the NEWRA process. There'll be a public comment period. I don't know for that kind of a filing, whether it's 30 days or 60 days, but one of the two. Public comments will then be submitted to NEPA and the Secretary of Environmental Affairs, and the Secretary will ultimately issue a decision based in part on the public comments received. And that's what happened for the waterfront plan that governs the development along our waterfront here back in 1990. The BRA put together a plan, it filed the plan with the state, and the Secretary of Environmental Affairs issued an approval of that plan, but with lots of pretty significant conditions in that. That was back in 1990. So anyway, that's the process.
Dave, what does the Boston City Council, or do they have a role in any of this plan?
I don't think so.
I never heard any mention of city council's authority. Yes, yes.
I also, it seems presumptuous to me to call this a harbor plan when it really is focusing on the area around one specific development proposal. Are we just looking at that because that's close to us and that's what we're concerned with? Or is there really no harbor plan that covers around like the current proposal for Whiskey Priest and over by the ICA for the loss of open space over there? And plus there's a whole lot of other harbor. Is it covered by the harbor plan?
Well, this actually covers from, as Dave said earlier, from Long Wharf to the bridge.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do we
Because the
call that harbor?
BRA decided many years ago to break it up. So that's one harbor plan. We have another harbor plan for the North End waterfront. There's another one over in Charlestown. There's another one in East Boston. There's another one in South Boston, and so forth. And they all kind of piece together, but they are performed independently of each other. There's no overall, I've never seen any overall plan for the harbor.
But I think I can also answer on behalf of the executive committee why we wanted to bring this forward now and get it on people's radar. And that is that obviously part of the area does have an impact on the north end is nearby. But the other thing is that this overall plan, and there are other aspects to it that there just was not time to go into all the detail tonight, but that it reflects an approach to planning along the waterfront that is concerning if you live anywhere along the waterfront. And just to give an example, for people who are interested, for example, in Lewis Wharf, and Matt Conti actually had raised this, that there was an article in Vancouver Tradesman just this past week where the developer of that site said, well, if you're looking at the municipal harbor plan, you see that we're looking for grand plans along the waterfront. And that's not necessarily what the residents are looking for. So we were hoping to get this onto people's radar. I think the sense is that the BRA does not have a history of necessarily listening to comments, but that there is a shot with the state, and so we want people to start thinking about it so that we can have an impact on that process, and we certainly will keep our membership informed and hopefully be submitting something as a group, but also the individual members will be able to do that as well. So I think that's what we're trying to accomplish. So, Dave?
Hey, Roger, North just want to make a quick comment because Victor was talking about density and activity.
Innovation.
And very interesting. I've been involved with some of some of the IAG, some of the projects. And every time I've asked DRA what their definition of density and how much density is good or bad, what their ideas of density are. And the only answer they ever give me is, everybody wants to live in Boston. So their master plan is to just keep building every square inch because everybody wants to live here. So that's your density.
But does it have to be on the waterfront?
Every place, every square inch.
So much for the new BRA, huh?
You can, a road is a road.
Okay,
Okay.
I should just add that if anyone is interested in the personal comment letter that I wrote, just come up and tell me and I'll email you a copy. You are? Yeah. Okay, I didn't send it to you? Sorry, I will.
So is there any other business that needs to, okay, so meeting is adjourned.